Third part. Chapter 41 The Horror Toilet. The detective encounters a bloody mystery case. Muri Kagoro and Conan heard the scream, and their detective instincts immediately started, and they ran towards the toilet like flying. Father, Xiaoji, it's really helpless. Ran Muri looked helpless, holding Endo Haruto and following closely. After entering the toilet, seeing the tragic dismemberment of Kawashima Hideo, even Muri Kagoro and Conan couldn't help but change their faces. Everyone, don't come in, protect the scene, and call the police quickly. Muri Kagoro stopped the villagers who wanted to come in and began to carefully check the scene. Drug dealer, no forgiveness. God of death? Conan's eyes were attracted by the bloody words on the wall, and his brows were furrowed, as if thinking about something. It seems that this may be the method of a professional killer, and Shadow may be the killer's code name. But it may also be a trap deliberately set by the suspect to try to get the police to track a fictitious killer. If these bloody words are just to mislead the police, then the real murderer is likely to be in the crowd of onlookers. Just as Conan was about to look for clues from the body, a fist suddenly fell and hit his head, causing him to see stars in pain. Muri Kagoro said several times in annoyance, asking Conan not to interfere with his work. Ran, you come and take care of this little guy. As he said that, he grabbed Conan's collar and casually put him outside the bathroom. Ouch, it hurts. Conan touched the big bump on his head and couldn't help but gasp. Xiao Nan, don't mess around. Dad will really be angry. You should learn from Haruto. Ran Muri, holding Endo Haruto, saw this scene and began to teach Xiao Nan seriously. She had also glanced at the scene in the bathroom before, and even she felt that it was a bit too tragic. She immediately covered Endo Haruto's eyes, worried that it would leave a psychological shadow on him. So Ran Muri felt that her father's approach was right, and this matter was indeed not suitable for Conan to get involved. Got it, Xiao Ran. Conan responded casually, secretly observing the expressions of the people around him, hoping to identify the hidden murderer from them. Strangely, Conan noticed that among the villagers who were watching, in addition to fear and curiosity, many people seemed a little guilty. Others might think that the bloody words on the wall were just a means for the murderer to confuse the police, but Kuroiwa Tatsuji and the others were very sure that there was a terrible killer staring at them. While everyone's attention was attracted by the tragic scene in the toilet, Endo Haruto quietly reached out and gently touched the trembling Nishimoto Ken. Ding! Congratulations on successfully signing in with Nishimoto Ken, and getting 1 energy point. The owner can claim it at any time. Endo Haruto prefers mental power to physical strength. Many of his skills and props are driven by mental power, so this thing is always insufficient. Muri Kagoro thoroughly checked every corner of the toilet to make sure that no clues were missed, and then he had the toilet temporarily blocked. No one could enter before the police arrived to avoid destroying the murder scene. Although there is a police station on XUE Island, there is only an old policeman inside, who is obviously unable to deal with such a murder case. Muri Kagoro had no choice but to call Officer Megure and ask him to bring people to Tsukikage Island to deal with it. However, Tsukikage Island is a little far from Tokyo, and it is getting dark and the sea is rough. Officer Megure and his team may not arrive until tomorrow morning. Hearing that the police will arrive tomorrow morning, Kuroiwa Tatsuji and others pretended to be worried on the surface, but they were relieved in their hearts. They were afraid of both the assassins in the dark and the police in Tokyo. They had to hide the drugs before the police arrived. The blood words left at the murder scene were too obvious, and the police would definitely search Kawashima Hideo's house carefully. If the drugs were found, Kuroiwa Tatsuji and others would be easily implicated, and that would be troublesome. Time passed quietly, and it was 12 o'clock in the middle of the night in a blink of an eye. Ordinary villagers had gone home, closed the door and went to sleep. The drug dealers hiding on Tsukikage Island, under the order of Kuroiwa Tatsuji, quietly gathered in a warehouse. This group of drug dealers is not large. Except for a few leaders, such as Kuroiwa Tatsuji and others, the rest only add up to a dozen people. Kawashima Hideo is also one of the leaders of this group of drug dealers. He was killed tonight, and there were shocking blood words on the wall, which made many people feel uneasy. Even if Kuroiwa Tatsuji did not order, these drug dealers would probably gather together spontaneously for self-protection. Just as they were discussing how to deal with the killer in the dark, Endo Haruto had already controlled the Aizen stand-in and quietly approached the warehouse. From the fact that Kuroiwa Tatsuji and Kawashima Hideo almost tore their faces for the position of village chief, it can be seen that these people are not big characters. Although Kuroiwa Tatsuji sent 2 men to guard outside, these 2 were chatting and lazy. "Yoshida, can you light a cigarette for me?" One of the short-haired young men in black clothes searched his pockets but couldn't find a lighter, so he approached his companion who was smoking next to him with a cigarette in his mouth. Click. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Top up now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 42 Thunder in the Dark Night, 2 fists breaking the door. The mysterious black shadow goes on a killing spree. The short and fat companion picked up the lighter and leaned towards the cigarette of the young man in black. Bang! Bang! Just as the 2 approached, a black shadow rushed out from the darkness, and his fists hit the heads of the 2 with the sound of wind. The 2 felt a huge force coming, and they flew out involuntarily, knocked open the closed warehouse door, and fell in front of other drug dealers. When everyone saw this scene, their faces turned livid instantly. The leaders headed by Kuroiwa Tatsuji took out their guns at the first time and pointed them at the door of the warehouse with alert faces. Bang, bang, bang. 2 dazzling flames exploded in the darkness, and the 4 drug dealers closest to the door were pierced in the head by bullets before they could react. Fire. Bang, bang, bang. Seeing that the people outside the door fired first, Kuroiwa Tatsuji and the others didn't care about the consequences, and pulled the trigger like crazy, shooting at the black shadow at the door. Although Kuroiwa Tatsuji and his team's shooting skills were not very good, there was still a high chance that they could hit the target with 5 guns firing at the same time. But what they didn't expect was that after finally shooting at Aizen a few times, the bullets seemed to hit an invisible protective wall and were directly bounced out. In order to prevent Aizen's stand from being too seriously damaged, Endo Haruto deliberately used currency control to convert a maple leaf gold coin into wealth for temporary reinforcement. Although every time a bullet hits Aizen, the wealth shield on his body will be weakened a little, judging from the degree of shield weakening, at least more than 20 bullets will hit him to completely destroy this wealth shield. Bang bang bang. After testing the defensive effect of the financial shield against bullets, Endo Haruto no longer held back, and manipulated Aizen to raise 2 M9 pistols and fired wildly at Kuroiwa Tatsuji and his team. The 5 drug dealers with pistols became Aizen's main target, and their heads were the first to bloom. The remaining drug dealers were not spared and were killed one after another by him. The gunshots disturbed the people on Yueying Island, but no one dared to go out to watch the excitement. Conan, who was extremely curious, was also forcibly stopped by Muri Kagoro. "Dad, what happened?" Lon Lon, who was awakened by the gunshots, unconsciously hugged Uendo tightly and asked worriedly. Muri Kagoro said seriously, "It's a gunshot. There is more than one firearm. It's very dangerous outside. No one should go out. We have to wait until Officer Magyar and others come tomorrow." Muri Kagoro was once an excellent policeman and was no stranger to gunshots. The gunshots outside were chaotic, and it was obvious that someone was firing and fighting. Even when he was a policeman in the past, he would not act rashly at this time, otherwise he would be accidentally injured, which would be too unfair. "Uncle Muri, the loud noise outside has finally subsided." As the gunshots faded, Conan began to be eager to try again. "Quiet. Rest. No one is allowed to go out tonight. Everything will wait until tomorrow." Muri Kagoro grabbed Conan's collar and stuffed him into his bed. He knew Conan's adventurous character very well. Every time a murder occurred, this kid was always the first to rush forward. He was not like an ordinary child at all. Ordinary homicides were easy to deal with, but there was already a gunfight outside, and Muri Kagoro could not let Conan do whatever he wanted. If something really happened to Conan, he didn't know how to explain to Conan's family, so he had to control him by force. In contrast, the culprit Endo Haruto had an easier time. Ran Muri was worried that Endo Haruto was frightened, so he whispered to comfort him, and then hugged him to sleep. The next morning, Officer Megure arrived at Tsukikage Island with his team and found Muri Kagoro as soon as possible to ask about the situation. Seeing the miserable state of the drug dealers in the warehouse, Officer Megure's face became solemn. After all, so many bodies appeared at once. This was a big case, and the pressure on his shoulders was not small. Fortunately, the police quickly found the drugs that had not been moved in time in the warehouse, which confirmed that Kuroiwa Tatsuji and others were drug dealers. If the dead were just ordinary villagers, Officer Megure would definitely have a headache. But now that these people are drug dealers, his pressure is much relieved, and he even secretly feels lucky. Because the clues left at the scene are extremely limited, and Aizen has been collected by Endo Haruto into the system space, even with Conan present, Officer Megure and others could not find many useful clues. In the end, they classified the case as a gang feud, speculating that Kuroiwa Tatsuji and his drug dealer gang may have violated the interests of certain forces, so they were hired to kill. Muri Kagoro heard the fierce gunfight last night and felt that Tsukikage Island was indeed too dangerous. So he gave up the idea of continuing to investigate. Keiji Aso forcibly stopped Conan's actions, and then left Tsukikage Island with Officer Megure and others. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Top up now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 43. Kamen Rider fights against the little monsters, and the childlike innocence is still there and the laughter rises. A temporary performance stage has been newly built in the square in front of Maruten Department Store. An actor in a Kamen Rider costume is recreating the classic Ultraman vs. the monster scene on stage. Although the plot is childish, it is the most exciting performance in the eyes of the children in the audience. The audience seats are full of children under 10 years old. Except for elementary school students like Endo Haruto who just got out of school, most of the others are children who are temporarily placed here by their mothers while shopping. This is a marketing strategy of the department store to allow mothers to shop more freely. For this reason, the company specially built this temporary stage in the square to serve as a temporary nursery. Let's go. Send this annoying Kamen Rider to hell. The peace of the world will be defended by me, Kamen Rider. Come on, Kamen Rider. Catch all the bad guys. Mask whirlwind kick. Conan looked at Genta and the others excitedly, his mouth twitching slightly, and he muttered to himself, I am already a high school student, why do I have to accompany these little guys to watch this kind of thing? There was a slight rustling sound. Sitting next to Conan was Endo Haruto, who ignored the noise around him and concentrated on sketching on the drawing paper with a pencil. Under Conan's curious gaze, an insect-like humanoid warrior gradually took shape. Ayumi and the others also noticed the characters in Endo Haruto's painting and asked curiously, Haruto, what are you drawing? This is the real Night Kuga, a type of night series. When I have perfected the background and storyline, I also hope to ask someone to help me make it into a special effects work. Endo Haruto replied. Ayumi's face was full of excitement. Night transformation? It sounds great. I wonder which one is stronger, Kamen Rider or Kamen Ultraman? I am also starting to look forward to it. Taro and Xiao Ming showed excitement. Conan looked at the Kamen Rider drawn by Endo Haruto and showed a thoughtful expression. He thought to himself, I didn't expect this kid to have a good business sense. If the plot of Kamen Rider is good, it will definitely be a big hit. Although Kamen Rider has not yet started filming, Conan has already been looking forward to it from the dazzling appearance of Kamen Rider. After all, Conan is not a real child, he is actually a high school student, which is enough to explain the appeal of this work. In fact, from the perspective of the story structure of Kamen Rider, it is very similar to Kamen Rider, and it can be said to be Kamen Rider in the Showa period. Since the children of this world like Kamen Rider so much, they should not be able to resist the charm of Kamen Rider. In order to surpass Kamen Rider, Haruto Endo did not intend to copy the previous Kamen Rider series, but planned to start filming directly from Kamen Rider Kuga. Kamen Rider Kuga is the first Kamen Rider series in the Heisei era, and the Kamen Rider series in this period has truly entered a mature stage. Compared with the Showa era, the story plots in the Heisei era are more colorful, and the image of the night after transformation is more eye-catching. Not only elementary school students, but also junior high school and high school students are deeply fascinated by it. During his college years, Haruto Endo couldn't help but buy several hero belts. If the costumes of the masked hero were not too expensive, he really wanted to buy them and try them out himself. Because of this, he is full of confidence in Masked Hero. I believe that once Masked Hero Kuga is completed, it will soon surpass Super Superman and become the most popular special effects drama. His previous Pokemon was also very popular and became one of the popular animations. Various derivative products have brought considerable profits to the Endo Group, so the senior management recognized his talent and no longer regarded him as a child. With the success of Pokemon, Haruto Endo has also won a certain reputation within the group. If he is steadfast, he can start the production of Kamen Rider at any time without worrying about funding issues. As time passed, the performance of Kamen Rider was coming to an end. The actor wore the iconic costume and took photos with the cheering children enthusiastically, and signed autographs for everyone. Great, I got the autograph of Kamen Rider, I will treasure it. As soon as a child finished speaking, his stomach growled. I'm hungry. He smiled shyly. Genta, seeing this, the other children shook their heads helplessly. It's getting late, why don't we go eat something before going home? Endo Haruto suggested. Support. Everyone responded in unison. After discussion, they decided to go to the dining area of the department store. As soon as they entered the elevator, they heard a gentle voice, "Welcome. Children, which floor are you going to?" Mid-autumn reading. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 43 Kamen Rider fights against the little monsters, and the childlike innocence is still there and the laughter rises. A temporary performance stage has been newly built in the square in front of Maruten department store. An actor in a Kamen Rider costume is recreating the classic Ultraman versus the monster scene on stage. Although the plot is childish, it is the most exciting performance in the eyes of the children in the audience. The audience seats are full of children under 10 years old. Except for elementary school students like Endo Haruto who just got out of school, most of the others are children who are temporarily placed here by their mothers while shopping. This is a marketing strategy of the department store to allow mothers to shop more freely. For this reason, the company specially built this temporary stage in the square to serve as a temporary nursery. Let's go. Send this annoying Kamen Rider to hell. The peace of the world will be defended by me, Kamen Rider. Come on Kamen Rider. Catch all the bad guys. Mask Whirlwind Kick. Conan looked at Genta and the others excitedly, his mouth twitching slightly, and he muttered to himself, I am already a high school student, why do I have to accompany these little guys to watch this kind of thing? There was a slight rustling sound. Sitting next to Conan was Endo Haruto, who ignored the noise around him and concentrated on sketching on the drawing paper with a pencil. Under Conan's curious gaze, an insect-like humanoid warrior gradually took shape. Ayumi and the others also noticed the characters in Endo Haruto's painting and asked curiously, Haruto, what are you drawing? This is the real Night Kuga, a type of night series. When I have perfected the background and storyline, I also hope to ask someone to help me make it into a special effects work. Endo Haruto replied. Ayumi's face was full of excitement. Night transformation? It sounds great. I wonder which one is stronger, Kamen Rider or Kamen Ultraman? I am also starting to look forward to it. Taro and Xiao Ming showed excitement. Conan looked at the Kamen Rider drawn by Endo Haruto and showed a thoughtful expression. He thought to himself, I didn't expect this kid to have a good business sense. If the plot of Kamen Rider is good, it will definitely be a big hit. Although Kamen Rider has not yet started filming, Conan has already been looking forward to it from the dazzling appearance of Kamen Rider. After all, Conan is not a real child, he is actually a high school student, which is enough to explain the appeal of this work. In fact, from the perspective of the story structure of Kamen Rider, it is very similar to Kamen Rider, and it can be said to be Kamen Rider in the Showa period. Since the children of this world like Kamen Rider so much, they should not be able to resist the charm of Kamen Rider. In order to surpass Kamen Rider, Haruto Endo did not intend to copy the previous Kamen Rider series, but planned to start filming directly from Kamen Rider Kuga. Kamen Rider Kuga is the first Kamen Rider series in the Heisei era, and the Kamen Rider series in this period has truly entered a mature stage. Compared with the Showa era, the story plots in the Heisei era are more colorful, and the image of the night after transformation is more eye-catching. Not only elementary school students, but also junior high school and high school students are deeply fascinated by it. During his college years, Haruto Endo couldn't help but buy several hero belts. If the costumes of the masked hero were not too expensive, he really wanted to buy them and try them out himself. Because of this, he is full of confidence in Masked Hero. I believe that once Masked Hero Kuga is completed, it will soon surpass Super Superman and become the most popular special effects drama. His previous Pokemon was also very popular and became one of the popular animations. Various derivative products have brought considerable profits to the Endo Group, so the senior management recognized his talent and no longer regarded him as a child. With the success of Pokemon, Haruto Endo has also won a certain reputation within the group. If he is steadfast, he can start the production of Kamen Rider at any time without worrying about funding issues. As time passed, the performance of Kamen Rider was coming to an end. The actor wore the iconic costume and took photos with the cheering children enthusiastically, and signed autographs for everyone. Great, I got the autograph of Kamen Rider, I will treasure it. As soon as a child finished speaking, his stomach growled. I'm hungry. He smiled shyly. Genta, seeing this, the other children shook their heads helplessly. It's getting late, why don't we go eat something before going home? Endo Haruto suggested. Support. Everyone responded in unison. After discussion, they decided to go to the dining area of the department store. As soon as they entered the elevator, they heard a gentle voice, "Welcome. Children, which floor are you going to?" Mid-autumn reading. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 44, Beauty checks in at the elevator and unexpectedly receives a mysterious accessory. Endo Haruto looked in the direction of the voice, and first saw a pair of slender legs in black stockings, then an orange work suit and a charming face. To his surprise, the words, "You can sign in," floated above the head of this beautiful elevator lady. Register first. Registering means earning money. Sister, let's go to the 5th floor. Endo Haruto came back to his senses and gently held her hand. Dong! Congratulations on successfully signing in to Yuriko Ihara. The prize is a pack of accessories, which can be collected at any time. Endo Haruto frowned and muttered in his heart. How could he get this kind of thing from the elevator lady? He thought he could sign in some attributes. With a ding, before Endo Haruto could figure it out, the elevator door slowly opened. Ayumi smiled and pulled him out of the elevator. "Haruto, we're here." The 5 people walked into the dining area, found an empty seat and sat down, chose 5 children's meals, and chatted while eating. 2 days ago, after the Giala department store closed, a group of unidentified robbers broke into it and looted all the jewelry. This is the second department store to be robbed. The police are doing their best to investigate this gang. Hearing the news on TV, Endo Haruto lost his appetite immediately. All his attention was drawn to it, and a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. If the elevator lady was actually a member of the gang, then it would make sense to sign in a bag of jewelry from her. Endo Haruto had a guess, but he didn't rush to call the police. He had to find a way to confirm it first. Thank you very much. I hope to see you visit our company next time. Goodbye, kids. Goodbye, goodbye. With the elevator lady's warm farewell, the 5 children ate and drank their fill and left the department store happily. Not long after leaving the department store, Endo Haruto suddenly shouted, "Oh no! I left the menshuu in the department store." What happened? Everyone was surprised. "Haruto, you are so careless that you even forgot the menshuu?" Someone teased him. Ayumi said anxiously, "Then we have to go back quickly, the department store is about to close. Endo Haruto shook his head and refused. I don't need it, I can go back to get the XUE by myself, you go back first. In fact, he deliberately left the things in the department store, so that he would have a reason to go back to confirm his guess. Otherwise, after separating from Conan and the others, he would have to go home directly with Kurosaki Tamika and the others, and he would not be able to go back to the department store. Oh no, it seems that my Kamen Rider autograph was also forgotten in the department store. Before Endo Haruto finished speaking, Genta shouted anxiously. Endo Haruto was stunned for a moment, thinking, Genta is not pretending, right? He originally planned to go back alone to prevent Ayumi and the others from being in danger, but Genta made such a fuss. I really can't do anything with you, so go and come back quickly. Conan shook his head helplessly and led everyone back to the department store. Endo Haruto tapped his forehead and thought, I expected it a long time ago. The reputation of the boys' giveaway group was not gained casually. Even if he didn't leave anything behind on purpose, he would probably run into those gangsters. The doorman of the department store glanced at his watch and shouted to the customers who had not left yet, everyone, please pay attention. There are only 10 minutes left. The security system will be activated. The doorman didn't notice that 5 small figures took advantage of the chaos and quietly slipped into the department store. Because the stuffy bookstore was deliberately left behind by Endo Haruto, he quickly took Conan and the others and happened to find the stuffy bookstore. As for Genta, he really didn't know where the signature of Kamen Rider fell. Everyone searched for a long time and found the lost signature next to a hot dog stand. Wait. Despite their haste, Endo Haruto and the others still failed to leave the department store in time, and watched the door close automatically, trapping themselves inside. Click, click. The lights in the department store also went out automatically, and the hall instantly fell into darkness. This is bad, we are trapped inside. What should we do now? Seeing Genta and the others looking worried, Conan smiled secretly and comforted them. Don't be too anxious, let's go find the security uncle in the guard room and tell them the situation, they will let us out. Really? That's great. After hearing Conan's words, Genta and the others breathed a sigh of relief and moved forward in the dark towards the guard room. Tap tap tap. The footsteps of the 5 friends echoed in the empty underground parking lot, which seemed particularly gloomy. The guard room is on the 2nd floor underground. Even if it was Endo Haruto, if there was no one to accompany him, he would be scared in such a place. This place is just like tailor-made for shooting horror movies. In the guard room on the 2nd floor underground. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 45 Kamen Rider is arrested, and the little detective accidentally reveals the secret. 3 big men in security uniforms were tied up tightly and thrown into the corner. Next to them was a beautiful woman who was also tied up. She was Yuriko Ihara. In addition to the 4 tied people, there were 4 more people in the guard room. The leader was dressed in Kamen Ultraman costume, and the remaining 3 were dressed as villains. That's Kamen Ultraman. Before Ayumi could shout out, Endo Haruto quickly covered her mouth. He lowered his voice and said, "Don't make any noise. These people may be a gang of robbers. Let's leave here quickly and find a phone to call the police." Conan whispered, dragging Mitsuhiko and Genta and quietly retreating. Dingling dingling. Just as Endo Haruto was about to take Ayumi away, his foot accidentally kicked a 500 yen coin, and a crisp metal collision sounded in the quiet basement. The 5 children couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, not knowing how to complain. This fortune really comes at the wrong time. Is there anyone outside? Leave quickly. Conan was the first to come to his senses, dragging Mitsuhiko and Genta away in a hurry. After Endo Haruto reacted, he immediately hugged Ayumi tightly and ran towards the elevator. Endo Haruto's speed reached 7 points, and his strength reached 8 points, so he could run faster than Conan and the others with Ayumi in his arms. Conan and the others couldn't help but curse in their hearts when they saw the culprit Endo Haruto, who ran faster than anyone else with Ayumi in his arms. A crisp door opening sound rang out, and the 5 little ones rushed into the elevator one after another. Conan was the last one to come in and hurriedly pressed the door closing button. Watching the elevator door slowly close, the 5 little ones couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Just as the elevator door was about to close completely, a big gloved hand suddenly reached in from outside the door. The elevator sensed an obstacle, and the door slowly opened again, and 4 robbers with smirks appeared in front of them. Who did you think it was? It turned out to be 5 kids. The leader smiled disdainfully when he saw Endo Haruto and the others. Facing the malicious expressions of the 4 robbers, Conan's face turned ugly, and Genta and the others were so scared that they were about to cry. Endo Haruto shook his head helplessly, exerted his strength suddenly, and rushed towards the robbers in front like an arrow from a string. Endo Haruto clenched his right fist and hit the leader's vital point fiercely. With his superb karate skills and explosive power, this blow was incredibly powerful. Ding! Congratulations on successfully signing in with Yamashita Saburo and obtaining a physical strength value, which the host can withdraw at any time. Any man who suffers such a heavy blow will immediately lose the ability to resist, and the robbers in front of him are no exception. The robber in the Kamen Rider costume rolled his eyes, felt the unspeakable pain, and fainted directly from the pain. Oh no! Except for Ayumi, everyone present gasped in shock at the cruel scene and unconsciously clamped their legs together. Boom! After Endo Haruto knocked down Yamashita Saburo, he immediately rushed towards the nearest robber and hit him in the stomach. Boom! Congratulations on your successful check-in at the Matsumoto. You have gained some physical strength and you can claim it at any time. The robber who was hit in the abdomen involuntarily bent over and retreated. At this time, Endo Haruto, who jumped high, used a roundhouse kick and kicked him hard in the face. Boom! Under the unbelievable eyes of everyone, the robber in the weird costume was kicked several meters away by Endo Haruto and fell to the ground. Is this a dream? Watching Endo Haruto slowly put down his right foot, Conan and the others unconsciously held their chins, fearing that they would really dislocate their jaws. Come here. After dealing with 2 robbers, Endo Haruto hooked his finger at the remaining 2 robbers to provoke them. Boy, you d me off, come here. The remaining 2 robbers drew out their daggers at the same time and surrounded Endo Haruto from both sides. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, there were 2 sharp air-tearing sounds, and 2 black shadows shot out and hit the 2 robbers in the face, knocking them to the ground. Endo Haruto was stunned at first, and then found that the 2 black shadows that knocked the robbers unconscious were actually 2 book houses. Young detective team, mission accomplished. Seeing that the last 2 robbers were also knocked down by Conan with a book box, Genta and the others excitedly surrounded Endo Haruto and cheered together. Just now, while the robbers were concentrating on staring at Endo Haruto, Conan asked Genta and Mitsuhiko to take out the book box, put on Dr. Agasa's special high-tech shoes, and kick the book box out like a cannonball. The power of this shoe should not be underestimated. The things kicked out can bend stainless steel pipes. It is a piece of cake to deal with 2 robbers. After confirming that the 2 robbers who were knocked unconscious by the book box will not wake up for a while, Endo Haruto took Conan and others to the guard room. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 46, The Beauty Trap Fails, the Master defeats the enemy with 1 strike. Xiao Ming, go help the security guards untie the ropes, and I'll take care of this elegant lady. When Endo Haruto saw Yuriko Ihara tied in the corner, a hint of amusement flashed in his eyes, and he walked straight towards her. When Endo Haruto was about to approach Yuriko Ihara, she suddenly reached out and grabbed his arm, and pointed the pistol hidden behind her at his head. Don't move. Endo Haruto, who was well prepared, suddenly kicked out his right foot and kicked the gun in Yuriko Ihara's hand like an iron whip, and then swung his right hand and hit her face hard. Yuriko Ihara felt like her cheek was hit hard, her eyes suddenly went dark, her ears buzzed, and her body tilted and fell down involuntarily. Before Genta and the others came to their senses, Yuriko Ihara had already lost the ability to resist. Looking at her red and swollen purple face, they couldn't help but show a trace of sympathy. Seeing the obvious slap marks on Yuriko Ihara's face, Conan muttered in his heart, "This kid really doesn't know how to be gentle with women." Even people like Conan know that beating people should be measured, so he never hits women in the face, especially beautiful criminals. When the security guards broke free, they immediately called the police. Soon after, Officer Magyar led the police to the department store and caught the group of sleeping robbers in one fell swoop. After learning that the robber gang was subdued by Haruto Endo and his team, Officer Magyar praised the junior detective team generously. However, after praising, Officer Magyar still warned the children earnestly that the next time they encounter danger, they should try to hide and call the police instead of confronting the criminals head-on. The day after the robber gang was arrested, the president of Marutan department store specially invited the junior detective team to come to the department store again and held a short press conference. At the press conference, the president of Marutan department store praised the children's performance and gave each of them a shopping card worth 100,000 yen to express his gratitude to the junior detective team. Haruto Endo and Conan were quick-witted and quickly guessed the president's true thoughts. On the surface, the president of Marutan department store was thanking the junior detective team, but in fact he wanted to take the opportunity to promote the department store. After all, a group of teenagers can defeat vicious gangsters, which is itself a major news that can attract widespread attention. Based on this, the president of Wantan Shopping Company specially held a press conference to thank Genten Haruto and others in a high-profile manner. In this way, whenever this young detective team is mentioned, it will naturally be associated with Wantan Shopping Company. Although Haruto Endo and Conan knew the president's purpose, they saw Genta and others were so happy that they did not expose the matter. This matter is good for both parties. The junior detective team has not only improved its reputation, but also gained benefits. This wave of operations is a sure win. Tokyo, Baikacho 2 Chom 22 no, Chi. Dr. Haruto and the others have arrived. Under the guidance of Conan, the children of the junior detective team went straight to Dr. Agasa's house after school. The time has come, the time has come. As soon as Conan finished speaking, a fat old man in a white coat, with a shiny head and a smile on his face, walked out of the house. Endo Haruto walked to Dr. Agasa and patted his belly gently. "Doctor, you have gained some weight again." Because of the relationship between Ranmuri and Kudo Shinichi, Endo Haruto and Dr. Agasa are also very familiar with each other. Dong! Congratulations on your successful check-in with Dr. Agasa, and you will be rewarded with a basic alchemy skill, which can be collected at any time. Chemical experimental technology, laboratory operation ability. The type is an active skill, based on the level. The effect is that through the alchemy array, the shape, size, and even the essence of things can be changed, but half of the raw materials will be consumed. There are many things to consume, such as physical strength, willpower, money, mind, and vitality. Everything can be put into it. There is no cooldown, but remember, alchemy is not magic, it must follow the principle of equivalent exchange. Haruto Endo silently said in his heart, "Start alchemy." Instantly, many basic concepts about alchemy emerged in his mind. These are all beginner's knowledge, and there is still a long way to go before becoming a true master of alchemy. Real alchemy masters are very powerful. They can extend their own or others' lifespan by sacrificing the lives of other creatures. This is simply a taboo. And a novice like Haruto Endo can only set up an alchemy array at most and simply change the shape and size of an object. Even so, this basic level of alchemy has surpassed the cognition of ordinary people. For example, ordinary pearl powder is not worth much, but if it is a large and smooth pearl, it will be much more valuable. Haruto Endo can use alchemy to fuse a pile of pearl powder into precious large jewels. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, activity time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 47 The Rise of the Alchemist, From Pearl Powder to Pistol Bullets. Although half of the pearl powder will be lost during the refining process, the value of the large pearl obtained in the end is much higher than the original pearl powder. Speaking of which, on the Moon Shadow Island, Aizen basically used up all the bullets in his pistol in order to kill the drug dealers. Now that Endo Haruto has learned alchemy, he can make pistol bullets with metal and gunpowder. If Conan and the others were not right next to him, Endo Haruto really wanted to test the effect of alchemy immediately. Dr. Agasa was not angry at Endo Haruto's joke, but smiled and touched his belly. Okay, everyone come in with me. I have prepared gifts for you. Surprise. I'm looking forward to it. When they heard about the surprise, Genta and the others jumped up with joy, and ran into Dr. Agasa's house with their short legs. Dar. Agasa has a kind and childlike personality. In the original animation, he is the adult closest to the junior detective team and often takes the children out to play, and this time is no exception. After all the children sat down on the sofa, Dr. Agasa smiled and took out the gifts he had prepared. Looking at the gifts in Dr. Agasa's hand, Ayumi and the others asked curiously, "What is this?" "This is a detective badge made in the image of Sherlock Holmes, specially for your junior detective team." Dr. Agasa explained, "The English letters on it represent the junior detective team, and there is also a transmitter. As long as the radio is tuned to the same frequency, you can hear the other party's voice. You can also talk by pressing the call button, which will definitely come in handy at critical moments." "Wow, so cool. Great, we also have our own special badge." Under the guidance of Dr. Agasa, the children quickly learned how to use the detective badge and played with it happily. Even though the detective badge was just a gadget made by Dr. Agasa to amuse the children, even Endo Haruto couldn't resist its charm and played with it with relish. "Dr. Agasa. Thank you for your help. We'll leave now. Goodbye. Remember to come and play when you have nothing to do." They played at Dr. Agasa's house for more than an hour before reluctantly saying goodbye and leaving. When they arrived at Endo Manor, Kurosaki Tamika helped Endo Haruto take a comfortable bath, and he returned to the bedroom wrapped in a bath towel. Bang bang bang. After entering the bedroom, Endo Haruto locked the door, took out a palm-sized leather bag, and poured out all the jewelry inside. These precious ornaments were the rewards that Endo Haruto had won from Ihara Yuriko at Maruten department store before. Although the leather bag was small, it contained more than 30 pieces of jewelry. There were the most rings and earrings, more than 20 in total, the rest were some bracelets and necklaces. After carefully examining these jewelry, Endo Haruto decided to take 2 pearl necklaces for experiments. The 2 pearl necklaces are of excellent quality. Each pearl is about 8 mm in diameter and round and full in shape. They are worth about 4 to 5 million yen in the market. The 2 pearl necklaces were placed together, and Endo Haruto slowly stretched out his right hand, with his palm hovering above the pearl necklaces. Suddenly, it seemed as if an invisible force attacked, consuming some of his physical and mental strength, and condensed a small alchemy array with a diameter of about 10 centimeters in his palm. Then, under the effect of the alchemy array, the pearls on the 2 necklaces seemed to turn into liquid. With Endo Haruto's will control, the liquid formed by dozens of pearls gradually condensed and finally formed a large pearl with a diameter of 30 millimeters. Endo Haruto didn't know the exact value of this pearl, but he was sure that it could be sold for at least tens of millions of yen, which was much more valuable than the original 2 pearl necklaces. And this was only because this pearl was a more common white color, not a more rare black or purple pearl. In fact, Endo Group has a black pearl necklace called Night Star in its collection. It is the world's largest black pearl with a diameter of 42 millimeters. It is said that this was bought at an auction by Haruto Endo's great-grandfather for hundreds of millions of dollars. This black pearl necklace is considered a family heirloom of the Endo Group. It is usually kept by Haruto Endo's mother and is only worn on extremely important occasions. Although the big pearl in front of you is far inferior to the Night Star, the unique value it contains is incomparable. With his alchemy, Haruto Endo can use some small black pearls as raw materials to fuse into a black pearl that is larger than the Night Meteor. The system is really amazing. In the square in front of the white church garden, Haruto. A pleasant voice came from behind. Haruto Endo looked back and saw Ran Muri wearing a lavender skirt, holding Conan's little hand and walking towards this side. This guy with bad luck is here as expected. Mid-autumn reading. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now. Event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 48 The Bride's Teacher's Wedding. Is Conan the Grim Reaper here to cause trouble again? Endo Haruto muttered to himself, but smiled and waved, saying, Sister Lanhua, Conan-kun, you're here too. Huh? Xiao Ran, why hasn't that guest arrived yet? Sonoko saw that there were only Ran Muri and Conan, and frowned slightly. Is that the guy who always sings out of tune in music class and makes Mr. Matsumoto angry? Conan thought to himself. An angry little black man appeared in his mind, and thought, Sonoko, don't describe me as a fool, okay? The full name of the teacher Matsumoto mentioned by Sonoko is Matsumoto Sayuri, who was their music teacher in junior high school. Today, Sonoko and her friends gathered here to celebrate Sayuri Matsumoto's wedding. They were invited. Endo Haruto also heard about this from Sonoko, and expected that Conan, the god of death, might appear, so he accompanied Sonoko. If Endo Haruto is not wrong, today's wedding will definitely not be smooth. I just hope Conan will have less bad luck and not turn the wedding into a funeral. Ran Muri smiled a little embarrassedly after hearing what Sonoko said. You are talking about Shinichi. He was talking on the phone, who wants to go to that kind of place. Huh. Endo Sonoko said with a hint of gloating, no wonder, it's normal that guy didn't come. He was the one who was scolded the most by the teacher at the beginning. After hearing this, Conan silently clenched his fists. Although Conan has absolute pitch, he is naturally tone deaf, and music has always been his weakness. The 3 years spent under the guidance of teacher Sayuri Matsumoto were not easy for Conan. In his heart, the teacher was like a tigress. Okay, let's go in quickly. We haven't seen teacher Matsumoto since we graduated from middle school. I really want to know what she looks like in a wedding dress. Ran Muri said with anticipation. Led by Ran Muri and Sonoko, the four of them quickly found the bridal dressing room, gently opened the door and walked in. Matsumoto was wearing a pure white wedding dress, and her beautiful face looked like a blooming lily against the backdrop of the wedding dress. Looking at this beautiful bride who seemed to have walked out of a fairy tale world, Ran Muri and the others couldn't help but open their mouths wide, with a faint blush on their faces. In contrast, Endo Haruto quickly came to his senses, and his eyes were attracted by the 3 words, available, floating above the bride's head. As he expected, this wedding was destined not to be peaceful. It is said that if you hate someone very much, you should invite Conan to his house to shoot an episode of animation. Matsumoto has been bullying Conan for 3 years, and now it seems that she can't escape this retribution. Xiao Ran. Sonoko. You are here too. Matsumoto Zayabe was very happy to see Ran Muri and his group. She turned in front of them. What do you think? Do I look good in this outfit? Very charming, teacher, you are so beautiful today. Ran Muri and Sonoko said in unison. Matsumoto Sayuri was a little unhappy. Oh. Didn't Kuda come? I still want to show my wedding dress to that proud little guy. Conan's mouth twitched slightly, and he muttered in his heart, this lady hasn't changed at all. What a cute little brother. Matsumoto Sayuri's eyes were quickly attracted by Endo Haruto and Conan, and she smiled and reached out to touch their heads. Dong! Congratulations on your successful sign-in, Matsumoto Sayuri, you will get a red dress and can pick it up at any time. Equipment name. Rose-colored dress. Armor is a protective gear that is often used in combat and military activities. It is designed to protect the wearer from enemy attacks. Historically, armor has been of many types and made of a variety of materials, from metal to leather. Over time, the form and function of armor have evolved to meet the needs of different combat environments. Rare, unique. Effect 1, Soul Sustenance. A woman's soul can be selected as the carrier of the red wedding dress. Effect 2, Spread of Resentment. Hatred filled with resentment and unwillingness is the best nutrient for the red wedding dress, which can devour fierce hatred and make the red wedding dress stronger. Originally it was a flawless white wedding dress, but unfortunately it was stained with unfortunate blood. After reading the information about the new prop, Endo Haruto's eyelids jumped, and he always felt that the female spirit mentioned was the female ghost that people often talked about. Matsumoto Sayuri bent down, approached Endo Haruto, and asked softly, "Little friend, what is your name?" Endo Haruto replied, "My name is Endo Haruto, I am Sanoko's younger brother." Then, he pulled Konan over and said, "This is Idagawa Konan, who is temporarily living at Xiao Ran's house and is also my classmate." Ran Muri picked up the portable camera, pointed it at the three of them and said, "Everyone, look at the camera here, we will take care of the photography today." Mid-Autumn Reading. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now. Event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 49, The Idol Mentor's Lemon Tea Romance. Sonoko smiled and teased, "Teacher, think about what kind of intimate actions you will show later. Xiao Ran and I will record all your wonderful moments." Matsumoto Sayuri put her hands on her hips and said proudly, "Leave it to me. Sayuri, I'm back." A long-haired lady wearing a dark dress and a purple coat pushed open the door of the dressing room and walked in with a plastic bag in her hand. "I have prepared what you want for you, and it's hot lemon tea." "Thank you, Ime." "No, no. Drinking it directly will make your lipstick smudge, you have to drink it with a straw." Seeing that Matsumoto Sayuri was about to drink lemon tea directly from the can, the long-haired beauty quickly stopped her and handed her a straw. "Thank you very much." Sayuri Matsumoto took a sip of lemon tea, and felt full of courage in her heart. She said apologetically, "Masako, I'm sorry, about Toshihiko." "Oh. It's already this time, what are you still thinking about? Toshihiko and I broke up peacefully, it has nothing to do with you." The long-haired beauty interrupted Sayuri Matsumoto before she finished speaking, and glared at her helplessly. "Okay, I have to go, see you later." Endo Haruto watched the long-haired beauty walk away, stroking his chin and thinking, is this an emotional entanglement? It shouldn't be her, the intention is obvious. In the plot of Detective Conan, the superficial motives often do not point to the real criminals. Besides, there is no sign-in on the head of the long-haired beauty, so this passerby character is unlikely to be a criminal. "Teacher, who was that just now?" "She is Kazumi Takanaka, a close friend in college." Sayuri Matsumoto took a sip of lemon tea, and a gentle look appeared in her eyes. There were footsteps outside the door, and a 1.8-meter tall sturdy man in a black suit walked into the dressing room expressionlessly. In Endo Haruto's eyes, this man was simply a little giant, with a scar on his left eye, and exuded the aura of a gangster boss. Ran Muri and Sonoko saw this scene, their faces changed drastically, and they immediately stood in front of Matsumoto Sayuri. "Who are you? What do you want to do? Xiao Ran, please use your ability to take this guy away." Sonoko pointed at the sturdy man and said loudly. "Big guy?" The sturdy man's mouth twitched slightly after hearing that. Matsumoto Sayuri couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh after hearing that. "Huh? Isn't this Xiaoyan? Haruto, Conan, you are there too?" Just as Matsumoto Sayuri was about to explain, a familiar figure suddenly emerged from behind the black shadow sturdy man. "Officer Magyar." Ran Muri saw the person coming and said with some surprise, "Officer Magyar, why are you here?" Officer Magyar smiled and said, "The boss's daughter is getting married, how can we, the subordinates, not come to congratulate her?" "The boss's daughter's wedding?" Matsumoto Sayuri smiled and began to introduce, "Xiaoqin, Yuenzi, this uncle who looks like a gorilla is my father Matsumoto Kayanaga, who works in the investigation division of the criminal division of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Sorry, I can't handle this request." Ran Muri and Sonoko heard this with disbelief on their faces, and unconsciously looked back and forth between Matsumoto Sayuri and the black-clad burly man. To be honest, Matsumoto Kayanaga and Matsumoto Sayuri really don't look alike at all. The two are like gorillas and little white rabbits, not the same species at all. "Sorry. I'm sorry, we were really rude just now." The two women recovered from the shock and apologized to Matsumoto Kayanaga awkwardly. Matsumoto Sayuri smiled and waved her hands. "It's okay, it's because my dad always has a stern face." "Uncle, your palms are so wide." Endo Haruto saw the words, "sign in and available," floating above Matsumoto Kayanaga's head, and deliberately pretended to be innocent and walked to his side, and compared his small hand with his big hand. Boom! Successfully signed in Matsumoto Kayanaga, rewarded with the master level, shooting accuracy, which can be collected at any time. Sonoko saw this scene and hurriedly shouted, "Haruto, come back quickly, don't run around." Matsumoto Kayanaga smiled and said, "It's okay, I think this little guy is very courageous, most children don't dare to get so close to me." He reached out and patted Endo Haruto's little head gently. Matsumoto Kayanaga actually likes children very much, but his appearance makes people feel fierce, so children usually don't dare to get close to him. Therefore, he did not think Endo Haruto's behavior was naughty, but instead thought that the child was very courageous and very likable. Endo Haruto said in a childish voice, "When I first saw you, I was a little scared, but I wasn't scared anymore after I knew you were a policeman. Because policemen are heroes who catch bad guys." Matsumoto Kayanaga smiled and nodded, "You're right, the police only catch bad guys, good kids don't have to be afraid." Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 50, The Awkward Compliment from the Tough Father, the Groom's Hidden Amazing Skills. Then he said, "Let's get back to the topic, Father, what do you think of me today? You have to give me some advice." Matsumoto Sayuri lifted the two corners of her wedding dress and turned around in front of Matsumoto Kayanaga. Matsumoto Kayanaga, the tough guy, nodded slightly, "It's beautiful." Before Matsumoto Sayuri smiled, he added, "But it's still not as good as your deceased mother." After saying this, without waiting for Matsumoto Sayuri to refute, he turned and left the dressing room. Matsumoto Sayuri pouted and said, "I can't do anything about him. Dad is always like this. He refuses to praise me sincerely." While Ranmuri and the others were taking pictures for Matsumoto Sayuri, Endo Haruto began to study the new skills he had just signed in, and he was quite curious. Endo Haruto had signed in the mastery level, shooting accuracy, from Takagi Wataru before, and now he got the same skill from Matsumoto Kayanaga. He wondered if these two skills could be combined into one. With a silent start in his mind, Endo Haruto immediately recalled the operation memories and knowledge of various weapons, just like he had practiced shooting skills for more than 10 years. After digesting these memories, his understanding of firearms reached a higher level, and the relevant skill attributes also changed. Shooting skills, weapon accuracy. Active skills. Level, huge. When using firearms to attack, the hit rate is increased by 80%. Consumption, none. Cooling time, not applicable. Call me Wanchai Gun God. After the two skills of firearm accuracy were merged, the skill level was raised to the great success, and the accuracy of shooting with a gun was increased from 50% to 80%. Although it was only increased by 30%, this improvement is not small. You should know that the accuracy of this skill is not only for one type of gun, but all guns can benefit, including heavy weapons such as sniper rifles and Gatling. Why are you shy? You are the groom today. Bang! The door of the dressing room was suddenly pushed open, and the groom in a white suit was pushed in by several groomsmen who were eager to make trouble. That's him. After seeing the appearance of Ching Lang, Endo Haruto's face changed slightly. Haruto, do you recognize this guy? Conan noticed Endo Haruto's abnormality and asked curiously. Endo Haruto said, his name is Takasugi Toshihiko, and he is the heir of Takasugi Group. I met him several times when I accompanied Sister Sonoko and others to participate in activities. In fact, what made Endo Haruto's face change was not Takasugi Toshihiko's identity as a rich second generation, but the 3 Chinese characters, "You can sign in," floating above this guy's head. According to Endo Haruto's previous sign-in experience, Takasugi Toshihiko in front of him is very likely to be a criminal, and there is a small probability that he will be a victim. Oh no, the battery of the camera is running out of power. Ranmuri, who was recording Matsumoto Sayuri and others, couldn't help shouting. Is that really the case? There seems to be a homeware store near the park. I'll just go buy a new battery. Xiao Ran, I still hope to go with you. Sonoko followed Ranmuri involuntarily, and turned to tell Endo Haruto, Haruto, you and Konan stay here, be careful. Got it. Endo Haruto nodded obediently. Seeing Ran Muri and Sonoko leave, Takasugi Toshihiko was relieved, and a subtle murderous look flashed in his eyes. Why are you still drinking this kind of nutritious thing? Takasugi Toshihiko reached out and took the drink bottle from Matsumoto Sayuri's hand, pretending to be dissatisfied, and put it on the table beside him. At the moment when Takasugi Toshihiko turned around, he took out the poison from his sleeve without anyone noticing and poured it into Matsumoto Sayuri's favorite lemon tea. Endo Haruto and Konan standing by could only see Takasugi Toshihiko's back, and didn't notice his secret actions at all. However, Takasugi Toshihiko did not notice that all this was seen by Matsumoto Sayuri. When she saw her fiancé poisoning her drink, she only showed a faint sadness and relief in her eyes, without any resentment. Endo Haruto noticed that Matsumoto Sayuri's expression turned sad, and a sense of uneasiness surged in his heart. Because he suspected that Matsumoto Sayuri might be a victim, he had been secretly watching her and immediately discovered her abnormality. Alas, I really can't do anything about you. Who told you to love lemon tea? Takasugi Toshihiko shook the lemon tea in his hand and handed it to Matsumoto Sayuri with a smile. When taking the lemon tea, Matsumoto Sayuri had a bitter smile on her lips. 20 years ago, her first love boyfriend gave her a glass of lemon drink to give her courage. From that moment on, she fell in love with the sweet and sour taste. Now that man is about to become her husband, he wants to end her life. How ironic. But when she thought of the grudge between Takasugi Toshihiko and her father, she could not hate him. Perhaps only her death could calm his resentment. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 51 Lemon tea hides a murderous intent, and the beauty's life hangs by a thread. Matsumoto Sayuri's eyes flashed with determination, and she took the lemon tea from Takasugi Toshihiko and began to drink it. As soon as the lemon tea entered her mouth, a strong corrosive feeling instantly filled her mouth, making her reveal a painful expression. Absolutely. Don't drink it. Endo Haruto, who was secretly watching Matsumoto Sayuri, found that something was wrong, and immediately jumped up and slapped the lemon tea in her hand. Although Endo Haruto stopped her in time, Matsumoto Sayuri, who had swallowed a little sodium hydroxide, still fell to the ground, with bright red blood flowing from the corner of her mouth. Teacher. Seeing this scene, Konan's face suddenly changed, and he hurriedly shouted to Takasugi Toshihiko, "Why are you still standing there? Go call an ambulance." Seeing Matsumoto Sayuri's painful appearance, Takasugi Toshihiko felt a trace of regret in his heart, and then ran to call an ambulance as Konan said. Ahahaha. The ambulance quickly arrived at the wedding scene and sent Matsumoto Sayuri, who was full of blood, to the hospital for treatment. The middle-aged policeman from the forensic department reported, "Officer Magyar, we found a pill that was not completely dissolved in Miss Matsumoto's lemon drink, which contained sodium hydroxide. What's going on?" Hearing this news, Officer Magyar and Matsumoto Kayanaga's faces instantly became extremely ugly. The capsule containing poison was hidden in the lemon tea, which means that this was not an accident, but someone deliberately poisoned Sayuri Matsumoto. Feeling the strong anger from Matsumoto Kayanaga, Officer Magyar hurriedly asked Ran Muri, "Miss Muri, besides Lily, who else has touched the bottle of lemon tea?" "Officer Magyar, there is no need to ask Xiao Ran anymore. I have already found out the true identity of the criminal." Endo Haruto suddenly held Takasugi Toshihiko's hand tightly and said firmly, "The criminal is this guy." Ding! Successfully completed the sign-in with Takasugi Toshihiko, and obtained a vitality that can be withdrawn at any time. Takasugi Toshihiko suddenly shook Endo Haruto away, showing an angry look of being wronged. "Little guy, don't talk nonsense. How could I poison Sayuri?" Sonoko's expression changed slightly, and he asked Endo Haruto, "Haruto, did you see him poison?" Sonoko trusts her brother very much. Endo Haruto is precocious and will not joke about such things. Endo Haruto pointed at Takasugi Toshihiko, "I didn't see this guy poisoning with my own eyes, but who else can make Sister Sayuri willing to drink poison except him?" Ran Muri was surprised and blurted out, "Are you saying that Mr. Matsumoto deliberately swallowed the poisonous medicine? Sodium hydroxide dissolved in water will produce a lot of heat energy and seriously corrode human tissue. Unless Sister Sayuri completely loses her sense of pain and touch, how could she not notice that there is something wrong with the lemon tea? Poisoning with sodium hydroxide is simply stupid." Endo Haruto glared at Takasugi Toshihiko, whose face changed drastically. "I don't know why Sister Sayuri did this, but if I hadn't knocked the lemon tea out of her hand in time, she might really die. I really don't know what kind of magic potion you be ************ D gave her to make her willing to die for you." Before Takasugi Toshihiko could recover, Matsumoto Kayanaga grabbed his collar angrily and shouted, "You be *************** D. Why do you do this? Why do you hurt my daughter?" If Matsumoto Kayanaga was not a conscientious policeman, he really wanted to kill Takasugi Toshihiko directly. Looking at Matsumoto Kayanaga's disgusting face, Takasugi Toshihiko suddenly laughed crazily. "I want you to feel the pain I have endured, and let you experience the pain of losing your loved ones." Takasugi Toshihiko said fiercely, "Have you forgotten? More than 20 years ago, when you were chasing a criminal, a car suddenly rushed out, causing my innocent mother to die. My mother was still breathing at the time. If she had been sent to the hospital by police car immediately, she might have been saved. But you only wanted to catch the criminal and ignored my request. As a result, I could only watch my mother die in front of me. I will never forget your cold and ruthless look." After hearing this, Officer Magyar felt a little sympathy for Takasugi Toshihiko and asked, "Chief, is this true?" Facing Takasugi Toshihiko's resentful eyes, Matsumoto Kayanaga showed deep self-blame and guilt, and sighed, "Yes, I was so focused on chasing the criminal at that time that I didn't notice that there was another person under the car. Later, I knew something had happened and looked for them, but they had moved away." For Matsumoto Kayanaga, the accident that happened that year was a big regret in his heart. If he knew that Takasugi Toshihiko's mother had been in a car accident, his first priority as a policeman would be to protect innocent people, and he would definitely give priority to rescuing victims rather than chasing criminals. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now. Event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 52, The Revenge of the Adopted Son. The old grudges are now settled, and the wedding scene is full of shocking secrets. Takasugi Toshihiko looked at Matsumoto Kayanaga's painful expression and sneered, "Except for my parents, I have no other relatives. Later, I was adopted by the childless Takasugi family and became their adopted son." He also mentioned, "In the past 7 years, I met Sayuri. After learning that she is your daughter, the fire of revenge in my heart can no longer be suppressed." Matsumoto Kayanaga almost collapsed and he learned of Takasugi Toshihiko's revenge purpose. "Then why didn't you just kill me? Why?" Even if Takasugi Toshihiko really shot him to death, Matsumoto Kayanaga might not blame him. After all, he was indeed to blame for the accident that year. However, what he couldn't accept was that Takasugi Toshihiko actually attacked his daughter and chose her wedding day. This is simply adding pain to pain. I want you to experience the pain of losing your beloved. Sayuri, that silly girl, may not understand my true intention of proposing to her until now. She is just taking revenge on you." "No. You are wrong, Toshihiko." After hearing this, Takanaka Kazumi couldn't help but interrupt Takasugi Toshihiko and shook her head and said, "In fact, Sayuri already knew your true identity and the details of the incident." Takasugi Toshihiko couldn't believe his ears. "This is impossible. If she really knew who I was, how could she agree to marry me?" He didn't believe what Takanaka Kazumi said, and he didn't believe that there was such an innocent person as Matsumoto Sayuri in the world. "Don't you understand yet? Have you forgotten your first love 20 years ago? The girl who loved to drink lemonade, you still can't forget it?" Takanaka Kazumi's face was full of pain. "Sayuri is your first love, and she has never forgotten you. When she first met you, she doubted you, so she asked me to help check your background. I know that you two have always been concerned about each other, so I decided to let go and fulfill you. But I didn't expect There was only a bang. Facing Takanaka Kazumi crying, Takasugi Toshihiko felt dizzy, his mind was blank, and he knelt on the ground involuntarily. What did I do? At this time, Takasugi Toshihiko finally understood why Matsumoto Sayuri knew that the cup of lemon tea was poisonous, but she still drank it as if nothing had happened. It turned out that Sayuri wanted to end the entanglement with her father with her own life. Thinking that he almost killed his beloved with his own hands, Takasugi Toshihiko regretted it so much that he wanted to die. Since his mother's death, in Takasugi Toshihiko's heart, his first love in childhood has become the person he cherishes most, otherwise he would not have been worried about her for so many years. Captain Matsumoto, the hospital just called and said that your daughter's injury is not serious. She only has a slight corrosion in her mouth. She can be discharged after a week of rest. Just when Takasugi Toshihiko was about to collapse, Takagi Wataru rushed in and told him the good news. What good news? It's so gratifying that teacher Matsumoto is not seriously injured. It's great, it's great. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief and cheered happily when they heard Takagi Wataru's words. Takasugi Toshihiko, who was about to collapse with regret, also showed a relieved smile and happily raised his hands to let the police handcuff him. Although Takasugi Toshihiko did not really kill anyone, he did poison Matsumoto Sayuri, so he had to stay in jail for a while. As for how long he will be in jail, it depends on the attitude of the victim Matsumoto Sayuri. If she is willing to forgive him, it may just be a formality. After Takasugi Toshihiko was taken away by the police, Ranmuri and Sonoko took Endo Haruto and others to the hospital to visit Matsumoto Sayuri. After about half an hour, everyone left the hospital. Walking out of the hospital exit, Sonoko stroked Endo Haruto's little head and said with relief, "Haruto, you performed very well this time. If you hadn't discovered that there was something wrong with Matsumoto's lemon tea in time, this time it would really be a big deal." If Endo Haruto hadn't knocked over the cup of lemon tea, Matsumoto Sayuri might really be in danger of her life. In that case, Takasugi Toshihiko would become a murderer, and Matsumoto Kayanaga would live in pain forever. Matsumoto Sayuri's injuries were not serious and she could be discharged from the hospital after a week of rest. After this incident, Takasugi Toshihiko completely gave up the idea of revenge. The two seemed to be able to reconcile, and the ending was a happy one. Indeed, Haruto is great. It feels like he is better than a detective. Ranmuri praised generously. Hearing the praise from Ranmuri and Sonoko, Endo Haruto was a little embarrassed. No, I just happened to find it. Konan looked at Endo Haruto with a complicated look. The longer he spent with Endo Haruto, the more Konan felt that he was not an ordinary child. If he had not witnessed Endo Haruto's growth process with his own eyes, Konan would even suspect that this kid had also taken a medicine to shrink. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 53 The Crisis of the Great Detective. Is the insight of elementary school student Endo Haruto even better than Konan? In the dressing room, Takasugi Toshihiko poisoned Sayuri Matsumoto's lemon tea in front of Endo Haruto and Konan. Endo Haruto was able to detect the problem in time, but Konan was slow to realize it, which made Konan doubt his observation ability. Could it be that after becoming a child, even his observation ability has deteriorated, and he is not as good as an elementary school student? There is a saying that goes, an outstanding warrior does not leave a reputation, and a good doctor does not have a prominent name. As a high school student detective, Konan knows that solving a case is certainly difficult, but it is even more difficult to prevent a case from happening in advance. To do this, not only does it require strong insight, but also enough luck. Over the years, Konan has solved at least hundreds of cases. But there are not many that can be prevented in advance. Endo Haruto has successfully prevented 2 crimes, including the Italian robber gang. This is simply unbelievable for Konan. A primary school student can do this. In fact, Endo Haruto had more than just these 2 cases. The amusement park incident, the case on the train, and the incident on Tsukikage Island were all stopped by him in advance. However, he did not get carried away because of this. After all, All this was mostly due to his familiarity with the plot and the system's prompts. Without these, it would not be so easy to successfully prevent crimes. In Class B, Grade 1 of Titan Elementary School. Ayumi said seriously, I didn't lie to you. I really saw a monster last night, in the old house on Fort Chome. The old house on Fort Chome? I've heard of ghost stories there. Genta responded in a low voice, it is said that the owner of the house was murdered 5 years ago, and then it became weird. Conan spread his hands helplessly, please, what era is it now? Believe in science, there are no ghosts or goblins. Conan, you're such a bummer. Seeing Conan's disapproving expression, Ayumi pouted her lips and turned to Endo Haruto and asked, Haruto, do you believe that there are really ghosts in this world? Endo Haruto pondered, for this kind of thing, it's better to believe it. He didn't know if there were ghosts in this world, but he knew that magic was real. For example, Kaito Kid's classmate Koizumi Akako was a witch who practiced red magic. Moreover, his own experience of rebirth made him only surprised even if he encountered strange things, and he would not doubt their existence. Ayumi suggested excitedly, Haruto, how about we go to the legendary haunted house tonight? If we can take pictures of ghosts, it will definitely make the headlines again. Horror house exploration? Endo Haruto was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and some related memory fragments emerged in his mind. If he remembered correctly, there was no ghost in the haunted house, but a mother and son were hiding. They were the wife and child of the owner of the house. Unfortunately, the child accidentally killed his father. In order to protect the child, the mother hid him in the basement, hoping to escape legal sanctions. Because the plot of the junior detective team going to the haunted house to explore was quite scary, it was one of the shadows of childhood, so Endo Haruto was deeply impressed by it. To be honest, he had no interest in the haunted house exploration. Even if he didn't go, with the style of the junior detective team, they would go there on their own. In order to prevent the children from getting into trouble, Endo Haruto had to agree to their request and decided to go to the haunted house exploration with them after school. As night slowly fell, Kurosaki Tamika sat in the nanny car, looking at the 5 children gathered in front of the old house, and asked worriedly, Mr. Ryuichi. Aren't we just going to watch quietly, why don't we go up and help? Don't be nervous, I have checked this house before, there are no monsters in it, only a mother and son hiding. Inoue Ryuichi first comforted Kurosaki Tamika, then smiled and said, the children are at an age of adventurous, the more you stop them, the more they want to go in. It's better to let them taste a little bitterness and learn a lesson. Hearing this, the worry on Kurosaki Tamika's face was relieved a lot, but still a little worried. Then, the mother and son hiding in the house, won't they hurt the young masters? Yuhua, don't underestimate these kids. They caught the thieves of Maruden department store last time. Inoue Ryuichi said here, and changed the subject, besides, I have arranged for the mother and son to surrender to the police station. Now there is really nothing valuable left in the house. Although Inoue Ryuichi believed that Endo Haruto and his team had enough ability to deal with the mother and son hiding in the house, as Endo Haruto's bodyguard, ensuring his safety is always the top priority, so he cleared the possible risks in advance. In the night, the abandoned old house looks particularly gloomy, and the occasional crows add a bit of horror. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, activity time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 54, a timid girl breaks into a haunted house, and the terrifying night adventure begins. Ayumi stared at the old house in front of her, which was filled with an ominous atmosphere, and she couldn't help but feel a little regretful. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have mentioned the haunted house to Genta and the others. She didn't feel it was so scary when she passed by here during the day, but at night, this place was simply creepy. If it weren't for Endo Haruto and the others accompanying her, Ayumi would have wanted to turn around and leave. She really had no resistance to those monsters and ghosts. Okay, let's go. Genta held the metal bar tightly in his hand, feeling as if he had become a brave man who was about to explore the Devil's Castle, and excitedly crossed the door of the house. Although Ayumi and Mitsuhiko were a little scared, curiosity prevailed, and they also climbed over the door and ran into the courtyard. Seeing this, Endo, Haruto and Conan could only helplessly climb over the door and follow them into the abandoned old house. It's so dirty here, there's dust all over the floor. Ayumi climbed into the house through the window, patted her dusty hands, and her face was full of disgust. It's too dark here, I can't see anything. Don't worry, I brought a flashlight. Hearing Genta's words, Mitsuhiko smiled and took out the flashlight she had prepared in advance. Just as Mitsuhiko turned on the flashlight, a hideous and terrifying ghost face appeared in front of Endo, Haruto and the others, scaring everyone's hair. Oh my! Ayumi, who was most afraid of these things, couldn't help but shout out, and quickly hid behind Endo, Haruto. Endo, Haruto was also startled, but he quickly calmed down, carefully shone the ghost face with the flashlight, and then said helplessly, okay, don't panic, it's just a demon sculpture. After hearing what Endo, Haruto said, everyone slowly calmed down and breathed a sigh of relief. The owner of this house is really weird. He actually put such a scary demon statue at home. Isn't he afraid of being scared to death when he gets up at night? Hey, it turns out to be just a demon statue. Look, I'll use this baseball bat, which is specially used to kill demons, to deal with it. Genta waved the metal bat in his hand, gestured at the statue a few times, and then walked into the inner room. Conan's mouth twitched, and he muttered in his heart, you are pretending to be fearless now, but why didn't you see you so brave just now? Why didn't you say anything when you were hiding behind someone? The footsteps gradually faded away. After they left the darkness of the hall, the eyes of the hideous demon statue moved slightly. Oh, it turned out to be a washbasin. What a surprise. Ayumi followed behind Endo, Haruto and saw the washbasin not far away. She turned on the faucet to wash the dust off her hands. The water was rushing, and Conan's face changed slightly when he saw this, and he fell into deep thought. It's really strange. If this old house had been abandoned for 5 years, the water and electricity should have been cut off long ago. Also, the mirror on the washbasin is a bit too clean, and it can reflect people's shadows. Logically, the mirror in this abandoned old house should have been covered with dust long ago. It seems that this old house does have some unknown secrets. Haruto Endo was not surprised, because he had known for a long time that there was an unfortunate mother and son hiding here. Even if he encountered something strange, he thought it was the unfortunate mother who was causing trouble. Come to think of it, our actions are really a bit like carrying out a mission. After groping in the dark old house for a while, Genta raised a metal baseball bat and said excitedly, then I am a warrior. If Genta is a warrior, then I will be a cute female warrior. Ayumi also shouted excitedly. Mitsuhiko was not willing to lag behind, I am a very smart magician. Seeing that the three friends were so enthusiastic, Haruto Endo did not want to spoil the fun, then I will be a priest. Change the words and sentences in this paragraph. If it is a fixed name such as a person's name, it will not change. At the same time, ensure the smoothness of the paragraph formed with the nearby sentences, and print the generated paragraph directly without any redundant content. Conan's mouth twitched slightly, and he pondered for a moment, so I. Conan, just be an ordinary person. Before Conan could think of his role, Genta had already made a decision for him. Huh. But villagers don't seem to be official members of the team, right? Conan was a little helpless. Endo Haruto patted Conan's shoulder and said in a coaxing tone, it's okay. Just be a villager with a hidden identity. Some villagers also have special identities. Maybe your real identity is a powerful character. Haha, Conan rolled his eyes silently. Aren't most villagers victims? Crying. A strange sound came faintly from the corner in front, making everyone feel chilled. Ayumi and Genta felt their hair stand up, and they hid behind Endo Haruto unconsciously. Endo Haruto knew that someone was deliberately making a mystery, but in order to let the children learn a lesson, he also pretended to be scared. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, activity time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 55 Conan first explores the ghost sound, Genta courageously returns. Conan, it's up to you next. Endo Haruto hid behind Conan and gently pushed him to the corner ahead. Conan's mouth twitched, and he said helplessly, "Did you make a mistake? Why did you let an ordinary person like me take the lead? Shouldn't you protect me?" Although he complained, Conan firmly believed in science and took the lead in walking into the dark passage in front. Everyone walked to the corner carefully and looked out. They saw a window at the end of the passage that was blown open by the wind. The white curtains fluttered in the cold wind like a ghost. "So that's it, it's just that the window was blown open by the wind." After seeing the source of the sound, Genta regained his courage and walked to the front with a metal baseball bat. "It seems that most of the monsters and ghosts in the legend are caused by this reason." Mitsuhiko and Ayumi also breathed a sigh of relief, and said to themselves with a smile, "We still have to believe in science. There are no ghosts in the world." Wrong, this place has not been attacked by wind and rain for a long time. This window has obviously been opened recently. Conan's expression changed slightly, and he was more certain that this old house was hiding some secrets. Endo Haruto said, "Okay, since there is nothing here, let's go somewhere else quickly. If we go back late, our parents will be worried." Hearing Endo Haruto's words, Genta and the others quickly closed the creaking windows and ran to the second floor that had not been explored yet. Not long after Endo Haruto and his group left, a dim and slightly hazy face gradually emerged from the wall, looking at the direction where the children were going away, showing an expression of fear and annoyance. "Since waking up in this house 5 years ago, it has been trapped here and cannot leave. It can only hide in dark corners during the day and extremely hates the scorching sunlight. Although ordinary people can't see it, it is very satisfied to be with his wife and son every day. However, when it went to find his wife and children as usual, it found that they had disappeared. What made it even more angry was that a group of children broke into its territory. Especially the little guy with glasses, who exuded an aura that made it disgusted and even afraid. As long as it got close to the child with glasses, it felt that it was about to be destroyed, just like a mouse is naturally afraid of a cat. What's going on? There are no ghosts here at all. It's so boring, I was looking forward to it." After walking around the second floor of the villa and confirming that there was nothing weird, Genta couldn't help but complain. "I said it before, in this scientific age, there are no demons and ghosts. We should rely on science. Then let's stop here for today's haunted house adventure. It's getting late now. If you don't go home, your family will be worried." Endo Haruto knew that there were still people hiding in the villa, but he didn't intend to send the unfortunate mother and son to jail. After all, that unfortunate child just accidentally killed his father and was locked up in the basement by his mother for so many years. Such a life may be more miserable than being in prison. There is really no need to force him to go to prison. Although Conan was confused, he did not find any traces of other people, so he had to leave with Endo Haruto. After Endo Haruto climbed over the gate of the villa, he looked back at the villa involuntarily, and his eyes suddenly lit up. "I saw a pale face next to the window on the second floor of the villa, exuding resentment and terror." Seeing such a scene suddenly in the middle of the night, Endo Haruto was really scared and almost couldn't help cursing. However, he knew that someone was deliberately making a mystery, so he quickly calmed down and muttered to himself, "Don't you know that scaring people like this will scare them to death?" But Endo Haruto can still understand this behavior. In order to protect her son, the poor mother certainly didn't want outsiders to break into the villa and discover their secrets. Now that a child suddenly broke in, it was reasonable to scare them by making a fuss in order to stop them from coming again. I can understand. Haruto, see you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow." Endo Haruto waved goodbye and walked towards the nanny car not far away. "Uncle Ryuichi, it's time for us to go back." He sat on Kurosaki Tamika's plump thighs, found a comfortable position, and snuggled in her arms. "Of course, sir." The black car slowly started and drove towards Endo Manor, walking steadily. At the same time, a black car slowly drove towards Kudo Shinichi's residence, and several figures got off the car silently and sneaked into Kudo Shinichi's home quietly. In addition to several sturdy men in black, there was also a cold and beautiful girl with short brown hair, wearing a white coat, exuding an aura that could not be approached. These people are all members of the Black Organization, and it is not the first time they have come to investigate. Since Kudo Shinichi was fed aptX 4869 poison by Jin, he has been missing and there is no confirmed news. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Top up now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 56 Resurrection from the Dead? The secret hidden in the closet. To prevent accidents, the logistics members of the Black Organization sneaked into Kudo Shinichi's house the day after he disappeared to check the mess. The investigators at the time confirmed that Kudo Shinichi had not returned home, and basically judged that he was dead. Now, a few days later, the Black Organization came to investigate again, just to keep a little insurance. Just by seeing the dust on the furniture, they could guess that no one had lived in the house for some time. However, to ensure that there was no risk, these logistics members still searched carefully. When Mayano Shiho casually opened Kudo Shinichi's wardrobe, she suddenly noticed some subtle differences from the last search. Her pupils suddenly contracted and her back couldn't help but feel cold. Several pieces of Kudo Shinichi's childhood clothes were missing. If other members of the Black Organization found this, they might not take it too seriously. But it was different for Mayano Shiho. As a developer of aptX 4869, she witnessed the scene of mice turning back into young mice after taking the drug. So, she began to suspect that Kudo Shinichi might have turned into a child too. Fortunately, Mayano Shiho had no loyalty to the Black Organization, and she was forced to develop drugs for them. Otherwise, she would have taken the shrunken Kudo Shinichi back immediately, as he was an extremely valuable research subject. However, Mayano Shiho was not stupid. Once she developed a real elixir of life, her importance as a researcher would probably no longer exist. According to the Black Organization's usual style, people who have lost their usefulness often die. Therefore, even if Mayano Shiho had guessed the truth, in order to protect herself and her sister, she could not let the Black Organization know that Kudo Shinichi had shrunk. So, she pretended to close the closet door as if nothing had happened, led the black-clad men to search Kudo Shinichi's house, and then signed the document confirming that Kudo Shinichi was dead. The next morning. In a busy corner of the city, there is a famous detective agency called the Muri Detective Agency. This place is always crowded with people coming and going, and customers come to seek help. The detectives in the agency are known for their keen observation and rich experience. No matter how complicated the case is, they can always find a solution. Every time a case is successfully solved, the reputation of Muri Detective Agency will become more famous. Last night, the murderer Yuda, who was arrested due to the reasoning of Detective Muri Kagoro, escaped from prison. Yuda has always been cautious in doing things. He had designed a conspiracy to kill his wife Keiko in order to defraud insurance money. However, his plan was finally exposed by Muri Kagoro, and he had to go to prison obediently. Ran Muri looked at the news report on TV, frowned, and felt a little uneasy. Oh no. What if my father is really retaliated? What should I do? Revenge? Conan looked at her with a puzzled look. Ran Muri said seriously, when Yuda was arrested, he threatened that once he was released from prison, he would definitely teach my dad a lesson. Muri Kagoro disagreed. Don't worry, even if that guy really dares to show up, I can just send him back to prison. Why are you like this? You are the one who will be retaliated against. Seeing that Ran Muri was about to get angry, Muri Kagoro hurriedly explained, Yuda finally escaped, and he probably ran abroad a long time ago. He wouldn't be stupid enough to stay in Tokyo and cause trouble for me. Hearing what he said, the worry on Ran Muri's face did ease a little. Okay, I'm going to work. I'll go too. Ran Muri said, and turned to Conan. Conan, it happens that today is a holiday, let's be my dad's personal bodyguards. You can do whatever you want. Muri Kagoro didn't want to reject his daughter's kindness, so he took them to the Tokyo racecourse. That's right. The job that Muri Kagoro mentioned was to go to the racecourse to bet on horses. Although Conan didn't want to step into the racecourse at all, he couldn't resist Ran Muri and was dragged away from the detective agency by her. Let's go. Let's go. Number 8. Go forward, work hard. Number 6. The racecourse was full of people, and the audience seats were crowded with people. The cheers and cheers were mixed together, and it was very lively. Just as Muri Kagoro was staring at the racecourse intently, a man with a thick beard and a peaked cap was secretly observing him with a telescope. Looking at Muri Kagoro's excitement, the bearded man muttered in his heart, "Why hasn't that guy appeared yet? Aren't killers punctual now?" On the other side, on an overpass not far from the racecourse, a cold and beautiful woman was slowly walking towards the racecourse. She was wearing a purple women's suit and had short hair. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Top up now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 57. A purple-clad woman descends from the sky and unexpectedly signs in to assassinate. Sister Yuhua, after crossing the overpass, walk a little further ahead and you will find the dessert shop I mentioned. The desserts there are especially to my taste. Endo Haruto pointed to the overpass in front and said. Oh. Then I have to try the unique skills of the chef of this dessert shop. Pay attention. Before Kurosaki Yuhua finished speaking, she suddenly found a figure rushing in front of her, and immediately pulled Endo Haruto into her arms and protected him with her body. With a bang, the short-haired woman in a purple coat fell from the overpass and rolled in front of Endo Haruto. Kurosaki Yuhua glanced at the short-haired beauty who fainted, and let go of Endo Haruto after confirming that she was safe. Sister, how have you been recently? Endo Haruto saw the 3 words, "You can sign in," floating above the short-haired beauty's head. His eyes lit up, and he gently patted her face. Boom! Congratulations on signing in to Maya Tachibana. You will be rewarded with the master-level assassination skills. You can claim it at any time. Assassination skills, assassination skills. Active ability refers to the ability of an individual to take positive measures and actively seek solutions when facing challenges. This ability helps people effectively cope with stress, improve work efficiency, and promote the realization of personal goals. Level: Professional. Proficient in various assassination skills, can reduce one's presence and breath to a certain extent. Movement speed in the shadows increases by 50%. After the energy consumed is converted, the heat in the body is effectively utilized, which promotes the acceleration of metabolism and makes the body's various functions run more smoothly. No need. Cooling period, no need. All things are empty, and everything is possible. Wandering in the shadows, serving the light. He silently said in his heart, exercise, and the memories of various assassination skills poured into Endo Haruto's mind like spring water. After digesting these assassination memories, a cold light flashed in Endo Haruto's eyes, like a sharp blade. If anyone noticed Endo Haruto's eyes at this moment, they would definitely feel the tension of being stared at by a beast. Endo Haruto blinked, and his sharp eyes immediately became clear and innocent. The cold light did not disappear, but was sheathed like a dagger by Endo Haruto. Although it seemed that it took some time to absorb the memories of the assassination, it actually took only a few seconds, and Kurosaki Tamika did not suspect anything. Kurosaki Tamika walked to the short-haired beauty, probed her breath with his fingers, and said with a sigh of relief, "Young master, she is fine, she just fainted. Hurry up and call Uncle Longi to help, send this lady to the hospital." Okay. As soon as Kurosaki Tamika finished the phone call, Inoue Ryuichi, who was not far away, arrived immediately. He picked up the unconscious short-haired woman, put her in the car, and then drove straight to the nearest hospital. After a series of detailed examinations, the doctor told Endo Haruto that Tachibana Maya had no serious trauma, but her head might have been hit, resulting in temporary amnesia. To ensure safety, the doctor suggested that Maya Tachibana stay in the hospital for 2 days for observation. If her memory fails to recover on its own, other methods will be considered. After hearing this, Endo Haruto asked Kurosaki Tamika to help arrange a VIP single ward for Maya Tachibana to move in. After changing into a blue and white hospital gown, Maya Tachibana sat on the bed with a slightly dull look in her eyes. Due to a head injury, she even forgot her last name and only remembered that her name was Maya. "Sister Maya, I may be able to help you recover your memory. Do you want to try?" Endo Haruto sat by the bed and said in a clear childish voice. After hearing this, Maya Tachibana subconsciously looked at Endo Haruto and said with a smile, "Haruto, then I'll trouble you." Endo Haruto raised the corner of his mouth and took out an old parchment from his arms and handed it to Maya Tachibana. This parchment was full of strange patterns, with 4 blank circles in the middle. The largest circle was in the center, and the other 3 smaller circles were arranged in a triangle, evenly distributed around the large circle. A hint of surprise flashed across Maya Tachibana's eyes. I saw Haruto Endo suddenly take out an embroidery needle and pierce his finger, and a drop of bright red blood fell on the large circle in the center of the parchment. The blood was quickly absorbed as soon as it touched the parchment. Then, a blood-red rune chain extended from the circle and tightly wrapped around the small circle above. "Sister Maya, you just need to drop your blood into this small circle to restore your memory," Haruto said, handing Maya the injection. Faced with this strange parchment, Maya Tachibana was a little hesitant. But in order to regain her memory, she still did what Haruto Endo said, pierced her finger with a needle, and dripped a drop of blood on the small circle. Instantly, a charming red light burst out from the parchment, split into 2 beams, and sank into the eyebrows of Haruto Endo and Maya Tachibana respectively. As the red light merged, Haruto Endo found that he had a strange connection with Maya Tachibana. He could communicate with her directly with his mind, and even easily erase her soul. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Top up 100 yuan and get 500 VIP points. Top up now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 58, Beauty loses her memory, the young master is moved, Mayu calls him young master for the first time. Maya Tachibana felt that Haruto Endo had become both majestic and charming, and she could not help but want to obey his orders, even if it cost her life. Staring at Haruto Endo, Maya Tachibana's eyes became softer and more submissive, and she could not help but whispered, "My lord." Haruto Endo heard a beautiful woman call him young master, and he felt excited and a little embarrassed. He cleared his throat and said, "Don't call me young master, just call me young master." "Okay, young master. Do you remember anything now?" "Not yet." Maya Tachibana tried to recall after hearing this, but finally shook her head helplessly. "Do you have any impression of the name Maya Tachibana?" Maya Tachibana. Orange. Dusk. I feel a headache. Hearing this name, Maya Tachibana suddenly flashed some bloody images in her mind, and she covered her head in pain. Seeing this, Haruto Endo asked, "Do you still remember that you were an assassin?" Indeed. Endo Haruto is almost certain that Maya Tachibana must be a professional assassin. He judged this not only because he obtained the skill of assassination technique from Maya Tachibana, but also because she has a well-proportioned figure and a very low body fat percentage. Based on these 2 points, Endo Haruto believes that Maya Tachibana is very likely to be a professional killer. I am a Dark Knight killer. As Endo Haruto mentioned this, more memory fragments emerged in Maya Tachibana's mind, and her eyes gradually became clearer. She said softly, "I remembered something, everything came to my mind. I am Maya Tachibana, a professional assassin, codenamed Red Spider." It's true. Hearing Maya Tachibana admit that she is a professional killer, Endo Haruto couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Endo Haruto chose to use summoning contract to transform Maya Tachibana into his servant because he valued her experience as a professional assassin. Endo Haruto is still young, even if he is the heir of the Endo group, there are many things he can't touch, such as firearms and explosives. Although he can remotely command the stand-in's actions, with his current mental strength, he can only make the stand-in work continuously for about 2 hours, which is not suitable for long-term outings. So Endo Haruto has to find an agent. With an agent, he can secretly build his own armed forces. This world is quite dangerous. In addition to the crazy people like the Black Organization, there are also many crazy criminals. For Endo Haruto now, he may not encounter too many dangers, but it is important to prepare for the rainy day. There is a big difference between holding a sword and having nothing. Professional killers like Tachibana Maya usually have a wide network of contacts. They are not only familiar with people from all walks of life, but also have some understanding of well-known mercenaries and killers. They are very suitable to be agents. Most of those who work as mercenaries and killers are characters who value money over life. What Endo Haruto lacks the least is money. He can use some inferior jade jewelry to synthesize more precious ones. Although the top-level jade jewelry is worth a lot of money, it is difficult to sell it and it is easy to attract the attention of others. The output of mid to high-end jade jewelry is actually quite large, and it is also very convenient to exchange it for cash. If Maya Tachibana had enough money, it would not be difficult for her to buy arms or recruit some desperate criminals. Haruto Endo has a grand blueprint in his mind, to build a super business empire that can influence the world and dominate both black and white, and to be the uncrowned king of this empire. On the surface, the Endo Group is the core of this business empire, gradually expanding to the world. However, behind the scenes, it is a dark force built by mercenaries and killers. Light and dark complement each other, forming a harmonious effect. However, it is still in the initial stage, and it is still far from Haruto Endo's goal. Speaking of which, Sister Maya, how did you forget the past? Haruto Endo couldn't help but ask with curiosity in his heart. Maya Tachibana answered honestly, I took a job on the killer website to kill Muri Kagoro. Not long ago, the employer called and said that Muri Kagoro was at the racecourse. I lost my memory because of a car accident on the way there. Your target is Muri Kagoro? That's not surprising. Endo Haruto's eyes widened when he heard this, and then he suddenly realized. Although Muri Kagoro cannot be compared with the protagonist like Conan, his role is not less. As a character around the protagonist, he also has a bit of the protagonist's halo. In the original work, those who dared to attack Conan, Muri Kagoro or Ran Muri did not have a good result in the end. Maya Tachibana actually planned to attack Muri Kagoro, and it seems not surprising that she suddenly suffered a car accident and lost her memory. Endo Haruto asked Maya Tachibana, Sister Maya, can you tell me who is responsible for dealing with Muri Kagoro? What is his background? That person is called Yuda. I heard that he was arrested by the police because of Muri Kagoro. This time he escaped from prison to avenge Muri Kagoro. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 59 Murder in the Dark, Endo Haruto's Secret Chess Game. Revenge? How stupid. Endo Haruto heard this, and a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. No one is perfect, and everyone can make mistakes. Endo Haruto also believes that some crimes are not punishable by death, but for someone like Yuda who did not forget to take revenge on Muri Kagoro after escaping from prison, there is really no need to give him a chance to reform. It is best to let this kind of criminal with a strong revenge mentality get rid of it once and for all. Endo Haruto thought for a moment, and then arranged the first task for Tachibana Maya, quietly get rid of Yuda, the trouble. After all, Yuda is just a fugitive now, and even if she is solved by Tachibana Maya, it will not attract the attention of the police. More importantly, Endo Haruto wants to hide behind the scenes, so he asked Tachibana Maya to be his agent. In order to avoid Tachibana Maya from being found by others in the future, Endo Haruto must keep a certain distance from her on the surface. As Tachibana Maya's employer for this mission, Yuda also poses a certain risk. In order to better hide behind the scenes, it is best not to attract too many people's attention for her actions this time. Endo Haruto couldn't let Maya Tachibana attack Muri Kagoro, so he decided to kill Yuda, the person who hired the killer. There is a saying, if you can't solve the problem, then solve the person who raised the problem. With Yuda's death, his bounty on the killer website will be invalid. In this way, Maya Tachibana's mission will not be considered a failure, and it will not cause trouble for other killers. Sir, I brought back the news. There were brisk footsteps outside the door. Kurosaki Tamika pushed the door open with a lunch box. Seeing that the bed was empty, she asked in confusion, Master, where did Miss Maya go? Sister Maya said she remembered everything and then left. Leave? But the doctor said she had a head injury. Is it really okay to leave like this? Kurosaki Tamika frowned, looking a little worried. I think it should be okay, sir, since Miss Maya has left, let's go back too. Kurosaki Tamika didn't ask any more questions. After all, her relationship with Maya Tachibana was not close. Not bad. Endo Haruto happily agreed, holding Kurosaki Tamika's hand, and the two left the hospital briskly. Under the cover of night, a white speedboat quietly sailed away from the shore and stopped in the sea hundreds of meters away. Plop. Tachibana Maya skillfully tied a stone to Yuda's body, and then threw him and the stone into the sea. Yuda was a fugitive. Even if someone accidentally found his body, they might mistakenly think that he was killed and discarded by a black-hearted snakehead during smuggling. According to Tachibana Maya's previous experience, it is estimated that before people found Yuda's body, it had been digested by fish as a delicacy. After a while, after dealing with Yuda's body, Tachibana Maya heard Endo Haruto's voice in her mind, "Miss Tachibana, please go to the Rice Flower Hotel and wait for me. I need your help with something." "Understood, sir." Then, Tachibana Maya came to the Rice Flower Hotel. Not long after, a man wearing a peaked cap and a black windbreaker Mo-han also came to the hotel. Mo-han took Maya Tachibana into the room that had been reserved in advance and handed her a box of priceless jewelry. These jewelry were made by Haruto Endo through chemical technology. He himself was not able to cash these items, so he gave them to Maya Tachibana as startup capital. Maya Tachibana has been involved in the assassin industry since she was 20 years old. Now she is 30 years old and is considered a senior assassin. Therefore, her network of contacts is very wide, and it is easy for her to exchange these jewelry for cash. Although the jewelry that Haruto Endo gave her was only mid to high-end goods, the total value exceeded 2 billion yen. With this startup capital, Maya Tachibana will be able to build an elite assassin team in a short time to help Haruto Endo solve many problems. In a corner of the city, there is a highly respected agency called Muri Detective Agency. The detectives here can always find clues in complex cases and help clients uncover mysteries. Their professional ability and rich experience make many people think of seeking their help when they are confused. Whether investigating missing persons or uncovering commercial fraud, the team at Muri Detective Agency can always solve problems in an efficient and accurate manner, bringing peace of mind to customers. After dressing up carefully, Ran Muri secretly glanced at Muri Kagoro, who was sleeping on the table, and walked out of the door gently. Conan, who had just returned from Dr. Agasa's house, saw Ran Muri, who had put on makeup, and was stunned for a moment, then asked in a childish voice, "Miss, where are you going?" He said coquettishly, "Are you going to the movies?" "I want to go too." Ran Muri quickly raised his index finger, signaling the other party to be quiet, and whispered, "That's not the case, I plan to meet a friend." "Meet?" "Yes, with Xiao Bai. Reading during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Recharge now, event time, September 15th to September 17th. Chapter 60 Full of Jealousy. Conan turns into a cuckold detective and secretly follows Xiao Rant's mysterious date. "Ah, so you're going out with Shinichi, brother." Conan was so happy when he heard Ran Muri was going to meet him. "If my father knew that I was dating Shinichi, he would definitely be angry." "You must never tell him." "Okay, I understand, be careful when you go out." Looking at Ran Muri's gradually receding figure, Conan couldn't help but smile and mutter to himself, "Xiao Ran dressed so attractively and was so happy, it turned out that she was going to meet me." "Wait." Conan's face suddenly changed halfway through his words. "Isn't he Kuda Shinichi? Who is Xiao Ran going out with?" Conan felt a little green on his head, and his jealousy came up again, quietly following Ran Muri. Ordinary detectives rarely encounter murders, and they need to understand that their daily work is often investigating extramarital affairs, and tracking and following is a necessary skill. I didn't expect that it would be used on Ran Muri today. It's really unpredictable and unpredictable. Following Ran Muri all the way, Conan saw her enter a cafe with his own eyes, and without much hesitation, he followed her in quietly. As soon as Conan stepped into the coffee shop, before he had time to look around, a small hand reached out and pulled him to the side. "Quiet." Conan noticed that Endo Haruto was making a gesture to silence him, and couldn't help but feel surprised. "Haruto, why are you here?" Endo Haruto adjusted his baseball cap and answered in a low voice, "It's because of Sister Sonoko." I heard that she is going to date a new acquaintance named Prince Rua today. I'm worried that she will be deceived, so I came here in advance to observe. After hearing this, Conan didn't know where to start complaining. Xiao Yuan, you have to be more cautious, he said to himself. Come to think of it, Conan, how did you end up here? I seem to have bumped into Xiao Ran just now. Endo Haruto said this, looking at Conan with a bit of teasing in his eyes. You haven't been keeping an eye on Xiao Ran, have you? Conan quickly waved his hands to deny. No way. I just heard that Xiao Ran was going to date Shinichi, and I was a little curious about him. After hearing this, Endo Haruto was a little surprised, and his eyes became strange. So that's why, you're afraid of being cuckolded. Then, Endo Haruto raised his mouth corners, revealing a malicious smile, and said sarcastically, come to think of it, I haven't seen brother Shinichi for a while, and I thought he was beaten up and hospitalized. Conan frowned and cursed in his heart, little brat, I usually just tease you a few times, do you have to curse me like this? Conan, I'm not just talking casually, brother Shinichi is always curious about new things and is keen on adventure. If he really encounters an attack from a bad guy, it is very likely. Conan's forehead veins jumped, and he wanted to argue for himself, but he swallowed the words back. Endo Haruto was right, he was indeed beaten by Jin, and was forced to swallow poison, and ended up becoming a primary school student. This is really depressing. I always feel that Shinichi is not worthy of Xiao Ran. A high school detective like him who always loves adventures might fall into the hands of a criminal one day, and then Xiao Ran will have to stay alone? Seeing Conan speechless, Endo Haruto struck while the iron was hot. Even if Xiao Ran suddenly dumped Shinichi and found another boy to date, I think it's normal. What do you think, Xiaoji? People often say, a gentleman's revenge is not late for 10 years, a villain's revenge is day and night. Endo Haruto is still a child now, and can barely be regarded as a small character. It's so satisfying to scold Kudo Shinichi in front of Conan. Conan was so angry that his face turned red, and he felt his heart was stabbed, but he couldn't refute Endo Haruto. Thinking of what Endo Haruto said before, Conan felt like there was a grassland on his head. Could Xiao Ran really be planning to dump him? As the saying goes, there is worry in the heart. Conan has excellent reasoning ability, but it always fails in front of Ran Muri, otherwise he would not be easily upset by Endo Haruto's words. I want a cup of coffee. Didn't you hear me? Bring it to me quickly. A commotion suddenly emerged, attracting the attention of Endo Haruto and Conan. Oh. Endo Haruto's face changed slightly when he saw the woman wearing sunglasses who had just walked into the coffee shop. The words, "You can sign in," were floating above her head. Originally, Endo Haruto just wanted to come here in advance to prevent Endo Sonoko from being deceived. Now seeing this scene, plus the arrival of Conan, the so-called elementary school death god, how can he not guess that something might happen here? Then, that's it. The clerk was frightened by the attitude of the woman in sunglasses and hurried to prepare coffee. Conan thought, this lady has a really bad attitude. I'm afraid she is not the person Xiao Ran expects. Ding dong. Mid-autumn reading. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Recharge now, activity time, September 15th to September 17th. You are listening to it in Eugene Light Novels.